It's official, boys. Pack it up. We're done. Elden Ring, bad. Shadow of Erdtree, bad because it's too hard. That's right. It's too hard, so it's bad.
I'd like to begin this video by sharing a quote from none other than Hidetaka Miyazaki. He spoke to CNET back in June 17th, 2024, and he had the following to say about Shadow of the Erdtree's difficulty. For certain bosses, Miyazaki set the challenge target for players who have tackled a majority of the base game, which, quote, means we have kind of really pushed the envelope in terms of what we think can be withstood by the players.
And this makes perfect sense, honestly, considering the DLC unlocks after a boss that only 30% of the player base has actually defeated.
Of course, some bosses are a necessary part of the story development and arc, but some are not. The ones that aren't are especially difficult, I think will pose a very good challenge and obstacle for players. He warned us days beforehand that Shadow of the Erdtree would be hard, even for veteran FromSoft Soulsborne players, and that is precisely what was delivered. In fact, that was delivered.
Oh man, I can feel my Lost Ark superior opinions just boiling up already. Oh, it's gonna be good.
Delivered so well that Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree right now on Steam, if you look at the review score.
Listen, nothing in this game, even two bosses combined, is even remotely harder than goddamn Argus and Lost Ark. Okay?
It's hitting at a mixed score of 61%, and not because the DLC is bad, but mainly.
And by the way, this proves everything I have said about Elden Ring. This was never a hard game to begin with. It was just a game where bosses had 3 to 4 mechanics, aka attack patterns. All of the bosses, you know, when you got away too much from them, would walk around you like this for roughly 3 seconds and then do a jump attack. If you got under them, they did the same thing. You know, all of that good stuff. And I told people, Elden Ring is not really hard. And now that it suddenly is becoming actually more challenging because it's more nuanced and whatnot, everyone's having a problem with it. Oh, how unexpected.
Because people are finding the difficulty of this DLC, particularly where bosses and enemies are concerned, to be a bit too ridiculous. If you look at the reviews right now, a significant portion of them are positive, but looking at the negative ones, you can see that a lot of them talk about the leveling and scaling and the bosses you fight and the kinds of attacks that they chain and perform and how exceedingly frustrating it is. That's kind of the main complaint that you'll see from negative reviews.
Says this guy wrote a goddamn book.
Final boss in particular, a lot of people are saying, man, what the hell, incredibly tough. Right here we have an article from news outlet Forbes that kind of compiles some of the quotes we have seen from reviews, saying things like the gameplay makes the game hard to recommend, spastic bosses with jerky roll catch movements and a plethora of physically nonsensical moves make the bosses in this DLC hard to put up with. As someone who beat all the FromSoft games with gimped level 1 characters for fun, the base game included, I'll be calling quits on this one. Miyazaki did say we're pushing the envelope, and I guess he really did. While the world design and colors are...
Finally, Dark Souls players are learning what it is when a boss has 3 different moves, but the difference for every one of those 3 different moves is literally like 2 pixels on the screen, and then you need to figure out what it is. Ah, finally. Yeah, that's Lost Ark for you, baby.
Really beautiful, and a lot of enemy designs too. There's a big problem with balancing right now. Even with 60 vigor, you get bi-shotted by nearly every enemy that's not pure fodder. I really wanted to like this DLC, but those enemies and boss fights are the worst parts of the whole game. I'm genuinely surprised whoever playtested this approved the Golden Hippo boss fight. Was able to beat it, but the bosses were so overtuned and aggressive that even being almost maxed out with the scattertree fragments didn't make it any easier.
Also, didn't he actually say that this DLC is gonna scale with you? So, being an idiot who cheats his way to maximum stats and whatnot is kinda gonna destroy you? Okay.
So look, I think people are allowed to have their opinions about this DLC. I think if you're frustrated by certain boss designs and the way they chain their attacks and whatever, that's your opinion to have. That's just
I think if you're frustrated about this, you're weak.
not been my experience. If anything, I've been waiting for FromSoft to challenge me all over again.
Okay, Young, let's complete. Okay, This is blatantly a lie. In the last video, we actually saw him play. Okay, the guy has no finesse. Let me just put it out right there. He struggled against basic mobs, so the idea that he actually is capable of dealing with a boss is just non-existent in my eyes.
Again, at this point, I've played so many FromSoft games and I've gotten so good at them that it's gotten rare for me to have a boss.
I'm sorry. Was that not your gameplay the last video? Because it was really bad. It was really bad.
Fight where
I haven't played Shadow of the Erdtree, but even I was looking at the gameplay, I'm like, why aren't you attacking at this moment? Because the enemy finished the attack and you're in range, but you're just wobbling around like an idiot. There's no way this guy has even more than 2 hours in this game.
where I literally, like, I am shaking as I deplete the boss's final bits of health left. And when I do beat the boss, I literally jump out of my seat, trembling, screaming in joy. You know, unconsciously, just my body and my mind are so hyped about the victory that I've just achieved that I feel this overwhelming sense of joy. And
yeah, this is all bull. 100% lies.
Adrenaline that followed the hatred that I felt for the boss and the game. Like, that to me is the quintessential FromSoft experience. And I've been getting that with this DLC. And yeah, there are moments where I'm like, what the fuck? But I miss that feeling. To give an example, frickin' Renala. I was having a really tough time with this boss battle for some reason. You know, this is essentially a knight mage kind of combo like boss battle. And I tend to be pretty good at those particular fights where it's just an enemy swinging swords around, but just there's something about her attack patterns, the range of her attacks, and the way she weaves around the field that was just so difficult to wrap my head.
Oh yeah, this is already visibly a huge step up from anything other Dark Souls. Holy, yeah, I kind of get why people are pissed that this is too hard, because again, the typical battle is like 5 times slower.
Head around, and with my present build and level of Erdtree blessings,
Okay, though I already see a pattern in this boss. Okay, let's see the pattern here. I can already tell you a pattern of this boss. Wait, let's go. Is this start?
There's something about her attack.
So yeah, this is a point where you can after the long lunging swing, but then it seems like this boss is, when she does something that I would call a signature attack, there's roughly 1 or 2 seconds to actually land a small blow. And there must be also moments where you can actually attack with bigger weapons because they're way slower, right? But yeah, this is when you start dodging, because yeah, the next attack is like
patterns
right
here.
Yeah.
Range
1 dodge, 2 dodge, 3 dodges should be the pattern.
Attacks and
oh, there's not even need for a okay. Oh, that's the stamina recovery part. Okay, because you cannot roll more than 3 times in a row. So that is the most limiting factor about Elden Ring boss fights. And again, I haven't played this game. You can roll like 3 times in a row. So most bosses are going to be made around the idea that you need to figure out when you roll 3 times and then there's an attack. So that was the first attack. You can get a swing in there. Then this is the second part.
Around the field, that was just
okay. Yeah.
So
and there's another one.
Difficult to wrap.
And now there's a small gap for you.
My head around, and with my
oh yeah, that's a small gap for you to attack. And after this, is this the big one? Yeah.
Present build and
yeah, and that's the big 2-part combo. Yeah, this is all currently looks like, just small gap, hit in gap kind of fights.
And level of scatter tree blessings. I was just being one-shot by some of her attacks, which
Yeah, there is a small, well, you can't attack in these openings. I wonder if the idea here is that you need to get back far enough to make her attack you from afar with a charge attack.
just made it very difficult to advance. And so I decided to
Interesting. It does interest me. It does definitely interest me. But yeah, again, also a reason why people find these things hard is you can beat the base Dark Souls and Elden Ring very simply because most bosses just have one or two attacks in a row or something like that. There's sometimes a chain, but you can just dodge, 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 dodge with invulnerability frames effectively in this game. And that gives you the opportunity to actually learn what the boss does. The problem is a lot of people just don't take that advantage. They just go in, it seems like the attack has stopped for a moment, and then surprise, surprise, like literally every Dark Souls-esque game does it, there's an actual follow attack. Because people just want to get that damage and instantly, they don't want to wait and learn, which is kind of crazy. Because this is how you're supposed to play these games. You're actually supposed to learn what the bosses do. And the Dark Souls' advantage is you can roll, 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 and that's invulnerability frames. Mostly.
adjust my play style. I decided to kill her by parrying her from beginning to end. Learn her attacks so well that I could parry her attacks before she could start swinging around. And that is precisely what I did, motherfucker.
Yeah, that probably works. I forgot parrying's a thing even. But yeah, that seems like that would work considering, well, we just see from this that it roughly takes 1 second for the next attack to start.
Fuckers.
Oh, no, that's a slightly different one because we already saw one of these. Oh yeah, parrying definitely works here because so I don't know how parrying works. You need to time it, but she's doing long sweeping strikes. So yeah, I guess this is like a parry mechanic boss in that case. Nice.
I was so satisfied and so overjoyed by the fact that I managed to pull this off. Like I got so good at parrying in Sekiro, but parrying in sort of Dark Souls and Elden Ring, it's not as effective. But I decided let's go back to Sekiro days and try parrying out. And when I did accomplish that, it took, a couple hours of really learning, well, like 2 hours of learning her attacks before I got really good at it. But once I got good at it,
2 hours is insanely a lot.
Felt like a freaking god. And there comes a point where you fought a boss so many times and where you've seen their attacks so many times where everything just kind of clicks. There comes that moment where you recognize that you are the one and you start seeing the freaking Matrix.
Yeah, literally, that's how you're supposed to do this.
You understand everything that's happening in the boss battle. You understand every attack that's coming. And at that point, it just becomes about allowing your muscles to adapt to what your mind knows so that you can just perfect your run and be able to just play this against this boss battle, be able to fight against this boss battle perfectly. And that's what happened.
Very cool, Young. Very cool, but how about you stop?
I got to go in for the kill, but then
Maybe he actually did play a lot of this because he's not stopping. Maybe I was wrong.
That final run when I finally did beat her. Games that he...
No, he's just talking about one boss, though.
Needs to push it back.
Is this like just one boss that he did, maybe? Because when you're talking about something that, people play and say that they have done, it's like it's gonna go roughly like this. Oh, that's a pattern that now you need to do this. It's exactly like another boss that you previously did. So the fact that he's not mixing in these things is either he's super fascinated and just loves that boss more than life and has already checked the Rule 34 of it, Or that's the only boss that he maybe found. Now, probably not, right? But the fact that you talk about these things and you don't mention, oh, this is like that. You couldn't apply this tactic that you used to another thing that was, like it and whatnot. That's strange because that's typically the way conversations actually happen for harder games. Oh, this thing is right now that you're doing exactly like the boss two rooms ago, and that. That's how you typically talk about it if you're good or stuff's happening. I don't know. Anyway, does Young ever shut up about his encounter? Let's see.
Once I like puzzle this
He does not.
out, I beat him a lot more easily.
Oh, there's
Talismans
another boss.
Would lion, and he was still one-shotting me, so I decided to redo my build, and I decided to.
There's no footage though. He's also not showing the magical footage of him actually winning in the fight. That's sus. That if I was talking about a boss I won, I would put in the footage of winning the fight. I don't know. I'm not inclined to trust Young that he actually has done so well. I mean, he's gonna talk about the popular subjects, right? I'm putting in very into question, has he actually done stuff? Did he actually succeed? I'm currently questioning that. That's the most interesting part here currently. Let's see what's happening here.
To the Guardian, he said if we really wanted the whole world to play the game, we could just crank the difficulty down more and more, but that wasn't the right approach. Had we taken that approach, I don't think the game would have done what it did, because the sense of achievement that players gain from overcoming these hurdles is such a fundamental part of the experience. I agree with this. I used to be very intimidated.
Yeah, that's true. Overcoming stuff is pretty fun and pretty cool. Dude, I can't wait until Lost Ark has solo raids. Ooh, that's gonna be epic! I'm thinking about playing Reaver. Or continuing that play, then whatever. I'm gonna find out. Dude, there's 26 classes at this point, and every class has two ways of playing it that are distinct. Oh, it's gonna be great. Anyway, I think that's all I can take from Young Yangi at this point.
Reviews and discussions.
Guys.
Stay tuned right here on Young Yeah. I'll see you guys next time.
Young out. Anyway, do you think he actually finished these things? Seems sus. Seems very sus. Again, I would have definitely put this there. But yeah, I wonder if every boss is like a different mechanics check. Because there are some moments definitely there when it looks just in these a couple of seconds that, there are openers for attacking. So is it just a boss is like, hey, you can dodge, then do a slide attack, or you can, this is a parry check or whatever? Would that be legit? Is that a thing? Because if you're gonna make all bosses really hard, it would be a kind of lame thing if you just, made it that all bosses just, attack faster and do more damage. That would kind of be slightly lame, and I don't think that, they're going for this. So maybe a lot of bosses have, a certain check that you need to do. For example, this definitely could be parry. I forgot that parry even exists, but yeah. When you have a long wind-up like this boss, I guess parrying does become a super, easy thing to do, maybe. Who honestly knows? But 2 hours, Jesus. Anyway, bye-bye.